"Get your hands off her," the CEO yelled at the rude man. "She's with me." The ballroom of the Plaza Hotel was suffocating, despite the air conditioning blasting at full power. The scent of expensive perfumes, mixed with the aroma of white lilies and aged champagne, created a nauseating atmosphere for Emma. She tugged self-consciously at the hem of her simple black dress, a thrift store find she had desperately tried to tailor herself the night before, and tried to blend into the shadows near the hors d'oeuvres table. She wasn't supposed to be here as a guest. She was just the junior assistant to the executive assistant. Her function tonight was simple: ensure the VIP guest list was checked, and that the CEO, the legendary and terrifying Liam Blackwood, wasn't bothered by minor investors. But fate, cruel as always, had other plans. "I knew I'd find you here, sniffing around for money." The voice made Emma's blood run cold. She didn't need to turn around to know who it was. That slurred, arrogant tone had haunted her nightmares for 6 months. Brad. She took a deep breath, trying to maintain the professional composure she prided herself on. She turned slowly. Brad was there, wearing a tuxedo that cost more than her annual salary, holding a glass of whiskey like a weapon. His smile didn't reach his eyes. It was just a cruel curve of his lips. "Good evening, Brad," Emma said, her voice coming out shakier than she wanted. "I'm here for work. Please excuse me." She tried to step sideways, but Brad was faster. He blocked her path, his large, imposing frame creating a barrier between her and the safety of the crowded room. "Work?" Brad let out a dry laugh, loud enough to make a few nearby heads turn. "Is that what you call it now? Serving drinks to rich old men, hoping one of them pulls you out of the misery I left you in?" "I'm not serving drinks," Emma whispered, feeling her face burn with humiliation. "I am an executive assistant at Blackwood Enterprises. You're a secretary, Emma. Don't try to dress it up." Brad took a step forward, invading her personal space. The smell of alcohol was strong. "You always thought you were better than you are. That's why I dumped you. You have no ambition, no class. Look at this dress. It's pathetic. You look like a child playing dress-up in mommy's clothes." Tears pricked Emma's eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Not here, not in front of him, not in front of New York's elite. "Leave me alone, Brad," she said, trying to push past him again. This time Brad didn't just block her. His hand shot out and grabbed her arm. His fingers clamped down hard, digging into the soft skin just above her elbow. It was a possessive, painful grip, meant to hurt and control. "Don't turn your back on me when I'm speaking," Brad hissed, yanking her closer. The whiskey on his breath hit her face. "You owe me respect. After everything I did for you." "You're hurting me," Emma gasped, trying to pull her arm away, but his grip was iron. "Let me go. Don't make a scene," Brad growled, squeezing tighter. Emma let out a small whimper of pain. "You're coming outside with me. We're going to talk about that money you claim you don't have, and you're going to listen." The world around Emma seemed to spin. Panic rose in her throat. People were watching, but no one did anything. They were the elite, trained to ignore the discomfort of others, to look the other way while a woman was being bullied. She felt small, invisible, alone. Then the temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. A shadow fell over them. It wasn't just a shadow. It was a presence, a gravitational force that sucked all the air out of the immediate vicinity. "Get your hands off her." The voice wasn't a request. It wasn't a suggestion. It was a thunderclap, deep, authoritative, and vibrating with a contained fury that made the crystal glasses on nearby tables tremble. Brad froze. The arrogant smile faltered. He turned slowly, still holding Emma's arm. Liam Blackwood was standing there, the CEO of Blackwood Enterprises, the man known on Wall Street as the Ice Wolf, looked like a statue carved from marble and rage. His black tuxedo was impeccable, but his fists were clenched at his sides, knuckles white. His eyes, usually a cold, calculating blue, were dark, stormy, fixed on Brad's hand on Emma's arm. "What did you say?" Brad tried to maintain his bravado, but his voice cracked. He didn't recognize Liam immediately. His arrogance blinded him. Liam took a step forward, just one, but it was enough to make Brad instinctively recoil. "I said," Liam repeated, every word coming out slowly like a gunshot, "get your filthy hands off her. Now." The silence that followed was absolute. The orchestra stopped playing. Waiters froze with trays in midair. Hundreds of eyes turned to the trio. Brad, pale, released Emma's arm as if she were on fire. Emma stumbled back, rubbing the spot where his fingers had left red marks. Staring at Liam in absolute shock, Brad sneered, trying to recover his dignity. "And who do you think you are? Do you know who my father is? This girl is nobody. She's just—" Liam moved. He stepped between Brad and Emma, shielding her completely with his body. He looked down at Brad with a look of pure disgust. "She is not nobody," Liam said, his voice echoing through the silent hall. "She's with me. Emma's boss just claimed she's with him in front of the entire New York elite to save her from her toxic ex. This story was written with a lot of love for those who enjoy a corporate mystery. Tell me in the comments, where are you watching from today? And would you have Jack's courage to smash everything to do the right thing? Now, let's rewind 24 hours to understand how this shy assistant ended up in this explosive situation with the CEO. Blackwood Enterprises, main office, day, 24 hours earlier. The 40th floor of Blackwood Enterprises was a monument to minimalism and anxiety. Everything was glass, chrome, and silence. Emma Rose sprinted down the hallway, balancing 4 cups of coffee, a stack of blue folders, and the tablet containing Mr. Blackwood's sacred schedule. "Watch it, Rose," snapped Chloe, a senior assistant from the marketing department, without looking up from her phone. She blocked Emma's path for a second, forcing her to swerve. "If you spill that latte on the Italian carpet, Mr. Blackwood will garnish your wages for the next 3 centuries. "I know, Chloe, I know," Emma replied, breathless, dodging Chloe's sharp elbows. She skidded to a halt in front of the massive solid oak double doors at the end of the hall. The gold plaque read simply, "Liam Blackwood, CEO." Emma adjusted her glasses, which insisted on sliding down her nose. She had worked here for 6 months and, honestly, she had exchanged more words with the ficus plant in the lobby than with Liam himself. He was an entity, a myth. He walked past her as if she were part of the furniture, murmuring rapid-fire orders without ever meeting her eyes. She knocked on the door, twice. The code for, "It's urgent, but not life or death." "Enter," the deep voice responded from inside. Emma pushed the door open with her shoulder and walked in. The office was enormous, with a panoramic view of Manhattan that cost billions. Liam was standing with his back to the door, looking out at the city. He was speaking on the phone in fluent, aggressive Mandarin. Emma placed the coffee on the desk silently. She began organizing the folders by priority. Mergex contract, North Division lawsuit, guest list for the charity gala. Liam hung up the phone and turned around. For the first time in months, he paused. His blue eyes swept the desk and stopped on Emma. Not on the folders. On her. Emma froze. There was something different in his gaze today. He looked tired, irritated. "Ms. Rose," he said. He knew her name. That was already a shock. Yes, Mr. Blackwood?" Emma replied, hugging the tablet to her chest like a shield. "Sarah is out." Liam sighed, running a hand through his perfectly styled dark hair. He walked to the desk and picked up the black coffee. He took a sip and grimaced, as if the caffeine was the only thing keeping him alive. "She just texted me. Apparently, the sushi she ate last night is currently trying to kill her. She's down with severe food poisoning." "Oh no," Emma said instinctively. "I hope she feels better." "I don't," Liam said coldly, "because now I have a gap, and I hate gaps." He looked at Emma. He looked her up and down, not with desire, but with a clinical assessment. "That means you are the only one left." "Left for what, sir?" "The charity gala tonight," Liam said, sitting in his leather chair. "I need someone to manage the entrance and filter out the parasites trying to pitch me bankrupt startups. Sarah was supposed to do it. Now you are going to do it." Emma's heart plummeted. "Me? But sir, I don't have the attire for an event like that. And my rent was due yesterday. I can't exactly go out and buy something." And she stopped, realizing she was rambling about her personal life to the richest man in the city. She turned bright red. "I'm sorry. What I mean is, perhaps I'm not the most qualified person." Liam watched her. "Are you organized, Ms. Rose?" "Yes, extremely." "Do you know who our top-tier investors are by face?" "Yes. I memorized the dossier last week." "Then you are qualified," Liam said, turning his attention back to his computer. The subject was closed. "Be at the plaza at 7 p.m., wear black, and for the love of God, don't let anyone named Bradford Sterling get near me. He's trying to sue me over the merger." Emma blinked. Bradford Sterling. Brad's father. Fate had a sadistic sense of humor. Her abusive ex-boyfriend's father would be there, and most likely, Brad would be there too. Mr. Blackwood. Emma tried one last time, her voice weak. There is a chance of a conflict of interest. Liam didn't even look up. Handle it, Ms. Rose, that is what I pay you for. Close the door on your way out. Emma left the office feeling her legs turn to jelly. She had 8 hours to find a dress, hide her panic, and prepare to face the longest night of her life. She didn't know in that moment that this night wouldn't end with her checking lists, but in the arms of the man who had just dismissed her so coldly. The Plaza Hotel, ballroom, continuous. The silence. In the ballroom was heavy, pressing down on Emma's chest like a physical weight. Brad stared at Liam, his face cycling through shades of red and purple. He looked around, realizing he had lost the crowd. The elites of New York loved a scandal, but they hated a loser. And right now, Brad looked like a loser. You're making a mistake, Blackwood. Brad spat, straightening his jacket with trembling hands. You think you're untouchable because of your stock price. My father is currently under investigation for insider trading. Liam interrupted, his voice bored as if he were discussing the weather. And if his son continues to harass my partner, I might feel inclined to hand over certain files I have on his offshore accounts to the SEC. Brad paled. The threat was specific, credible, and lethal. This isn't over, Brad muttered, shooting one last venomous look at Emma. You're pathetic, Emma. Hiding behind a checkbook, he turned and stormed off, pushing a waiter aside as he exited the ballroom. Emma let out a breath she felt she had been holding for 10 minutes. Her knees gave way. She would have fallen, but a large, warm hand pressed firmly against the small of her back, steadying her. Do not faint, Liam whispered in her ear. His tone wasn't gentle, it was a command. Everyone is watching. Stand up straight. Emma stiffened, locking her knees. She looked up at him. Up close, Liam Blackwood was even more intimidating. His jaw was set hard, a muscle feathering under the skin. I'm so sorry, sir, Emma stammered, staring at his tie knot. I didn't mean to cause a scene. I tried to leave, but he... Quiet, Liam murmured. He wasn't looking at her. He was scanning the room, making eye contact with key photographers and board members, daring them to gossip. We are leaving. Walk with me. Match my pace. He turned her toward the exit. His hand remained on her back, a burning point of contact through the thin fabric of her cheap dress. To the room, it looked possessive, protective. To Emma, it felt like being guided to the gallows. XT, the Plaza Hotel, steps night. The cold November air hit Emma like a slap, waking her up. Mr. Blackwood! Mr. Blackwood! Who is she? Is it true you're dating your assistant? The paparazzi were a wall of flashing lights at the bottom of the stairs. They shouted questions that made Emma's stomach turn. Liam didn't stop. He didn't blink. He shielded Emma's face with his body, moving with the efficiency of a secret service agent. Car, he barked into his lapel microphone. A sleek black Maybach pulled up to the curb instantly, scattering the photographers. The rear door opened. Liam practically shoved Emma inside and climbed in after her. The door slammed shut, cutting off the noise of the city instantly. Int Maybach limousine. Moving. Continuous silence. Absolute, soundproofed, leather-scented silence. Emma pressed herself against the door, trying to make herself as small as possible. Her heart was hammering against her ribs like a trapped bird. Liam sat on the opposite side. He took a deep breath, closed his eyes for a second, and then opened them. The hero from the ballroom was gone. The CEO was back. He pulled a crystal decanter from the console and poured himself a glass of water. He didn't offer her any. Explain, he said. One word. No emotion. Emma swallowed hard. Her throat was dry. Bradford Sterling Jr. He is my ex-boyfriend. We broke up 6 months ago. It was bad. Define bad, Liam said, taking a sip of water. He has a temper, Emma whispered, rubbing her arm where the red finger marks were starting to bruise. He didn't like that I broke up with him. He thinks he owns people. Liam's eyes dropped to the bruise on her arm. His expression darkened for a fraction of a second, a flash of something dangerous, before returning to neutral. So, Liam said, checking his watch, you brought a personal vendetta into a corporate environment. You allowed the son of my biggest rival to corner you and create a spectacle. Emma gaped at him. The injustice of it stung more than the bruise. I didn't allow anything, she argued, finding a spark of anger. He cornered me. I was doing my job, checking the list, and he grabbed me. What was I supposed to do? Hit him with the guest list? Yes, Liam said deadpan. That would have been preferable to him manhandling you. He sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose. Do you have any idea what you've just done, Ms. Rose? I got assaulted? Emma suggested bitterly. You started a war, Liam corrected. Bradford Sterling Sr. has been looking for a reason to block the merger for months. Now, his son claims the CEO of Blackwood Enterprises physically threatened him in public. Emma's face crumbled. I'm fired, aren't I? You saved me just to fire me in private. She looked down at her hands. It's okay. I understand. I'll pack my desk tomorrow. Liam stared at her. He looked at the way her shoulders slumped, the way she accepted defeat so easily. It annoyed him. Stop acting like a victim, he snapped. Emma flinched. I'm not firing you, Liam said. I can't fire you. Why not? Liam tapped the tinted window, gesturing to the world outside. Because 5 minutes ago I told the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and half the board of directors that you are with me. Emma blinked. But that was just a lie, to get him to back off. I don't lie to the press, Ms. Rose. I manipulate them, Liam said smoothly. If I fire you tomorrow, the narrative becomes CEO saves assistant, then discards her. It makes me look erratic. It makes me look like I abuse my power. Sterling will use that to paint me as unstable and block the merger. He leaned forward, his elbows on his knees, invading her space. However, he continued, his blue eyes locking onto hers, if you remain with me, if we are a couple, then my actions tonight were not corporate aggression. They were the chivalrous defense of my girlfriend. It becomes a romance story, not a legal liability. Emma's brain short-circuited. Girlfriend? She squeaked. You want me to pretend to be your girlfriend? Fiancé would be more convincing given the intensity of the scene, but let's start with girlfriend. Liam mused. No. Emma shook her head frantically. No way. I can't. You are you, and I am me. People will never believe it. You date supermodels. You date heiresses. I buy my shoes at discount outlets. And that, Liam said, a glint of calculation entering his eyes, is exactly why it will work. The Cinderella angle. The press loves a commoner. It distracts them from the financial details. He pulled a sleek black phone from his pocket. He didn't look at a document. He opened a voice recorder app and pressed the red button. Note to legal, priority 1. Liam dictated into the phone, his voice sharp and precise. Draft a cohabitation and public relations agreement for Ms. Emma Rose. Effective immediately. Terms are as follows. He paused the recording and looked at Emma coldly. I'm making this up as I go, Emma, so listen closely. Term 1. 3 months. Until the merger with Sterling Corp is finalized. You will attend events with me. You will live in my penthouse for safety reasons, as Brad knows your current address. And in public, you will act as if you adore me. And in private? Emma asked, wary. In private, you will continue to manage my schedule and fetch my coffee, though perhaps not the coffee. It wouldn't look right for my girlfriend to be running errands. This is insane, Emma whispered. This is blackmail. This is a business transaction, Liam corrected. In exchange, I will pay off your student loans, all of them, and I will ensure Bradford Sterling Jr. never comes within 10 miles of you again. Emma stopped breathing. Her loans, her crippling, suffocating debt that kept her eating instant noodles every night. Gone. And safety. Real safety from Brad. She looked at Liam. He was cold, arrogant, and manipulative, but he was also offering her the 2 things she needed most in the world. Why? She asked softly. You could just pay Sterling off. Why go through this charade with me? Liam looked away out the window. For a second the mask slipped. Because, he said quietly, I saw the way he grabbed you, and I decided I didn't like it. The car slowed to a stop. We are at my building, Liam said, his voice returning to steel. The paparazzi are likely already camping at the entrance. You have 10 seconds to decide, Ms. Rose. Do you walk out that door as my fired assistant who caused a scandal? Or do you walk out as the future Mrs. Blackwood, protected and debt-free? Emma looked at the door handle. Then she looked at Liam's outstretched hand. She thought of Brad's cruel laugh. She thought of her empty bank account. She thought of the way Liam's hand had felt on her back, warm, solid, safe. She took a deep breath. Call me Emma, she said. Liam's lips curled into a barely there smirk. It was the first time she had ever seen him look almost human. "Very well, Emma," he said, interlacing his fingers with hers. "Showtime." The chauffeur opened the door. Flashbulbs exploded like fireworks. Liam stepped out, pulling Emma with him into the blinding light. He didn't just hold her hand. He pulled her flush against his side, his arm wrapping around her waist possessively. "Smile, darling," he whispered. In her ear, his lips brushing her skin, sending a shiver down her spine that had nothing to do with the cold. Make them jealous. And for the first time in her life, Emma didn't feel invisible. She felt like the center of the universe, even if it was all a lie. Blackwood Tower. Private elevator. Night. The elevator ride was a study in decompression. As soon as the heavy steel doors slid shut, sealing out the blinding flashes of the paparazzi and the screaming questions, the silence returned. But this silence was different. It wasn't the trapped silence of the car. It was the heavy, pressurized silence of an ascent. Liam dropped Emma's hand instantly. The loss of contact was jarring. 1 second, he was the protective lover, his fingers interlaced with hers, his body heat a shield. The next, he was the CEO again, standing 3 feet away, checking emails on his phone with a frown etched between his brows. Emma leaned against the mirrored wall, her knees finally giving way to the tremors she had been suppressing. She watched the floor numbers tick upward rapidly. 30, 40, 50. "My ears popped," she whispered, breaking the silence just to prove she still existed. Liam didn't look up from his screen. "We are ascending at 1,200 feet per minute. Swallow." "It helps." Emma swallowed. It didn't help the nausea roiling in her stomach. She looked at her reflection in the elevator doors. Her hair was a mess from the wind. Her dress, which she had thought looked elegant in. Her dim bedroom mirror looked cheap and flimsy under the harsh elevator lighting. She looked like exactly what she was, an imposter. "Mr. Blackwood," she started. "Liam," he corrected, still typing. "If you call me Mr. Blackwood in front of the staff, the charade ends before it begins." "Right, Liam." The name felt foreign on her tongue, heavy and illicit. "About the, arrangement. I don't have any clothes. My apartment keys are in my purse, but I didn't bring an overnight bag." The elevator chimed softly. "PH. Penthouse. Handled," Liam said as the doors opened directly into his apartment. "Int. Liam's penthouse. Continuous." If the office was a monument to minimalism, Liam's home was a cathedral of isolation. The entire living room was walled in floor-to-ceiling glass. Manhattan lay spread out below them like a carpet of diamonds, glittering and cold. The furniture was low, Italian, and looked incredibly uncomfortable. There were no photos, no books, no clutter. It looked like a showroom that had never known a human touch. Emma stepped onto the white marble floor, afraid to leave footprints. "Handled how?" she asked, turning to watch him walk in. He tossed his keys into a crystal bowl. The sound was the loudest thing in the room. "I had a stylist send over a wardrobe while we were in the car," Liam said, walking toward a sleek, wet bar. He poured himself a whiskey, amber liquid splashing over a perfect sphere of ice. "It's in the guest wing. You'll find everything you need: sleepwear, daywear, evening wear, all in your size." Emma blinked. "You know my size?" Liam took a long sip of his drink, finally looking at her. His eyes were unreadable. "I am a CEO, Emma. I know everything about the people I employ. Size 4 dress, size 7 shoe, allergic to strawberries, you prefer blue pens over black, and your student loan debt is exactly $142,000. Emma felt a chill that had nothing to do with the air conditioning. It was efficient, terrifyingly efficient. "Is there anything you don't know?" she asked quietly. "I don't know why you stayed with him for 2 years, Liam said. The question hung in the air, unexpected and sharp. Emma wrapped her arms around herself, covering the bruise on her arm. "He wasn't always like that. In the beginning, he was charming. He made me feel special. By the time the mask fell, I was trapped. Financial abuse is quiet, Liam. You don't see the bars until they're already locked." Liam stared at her for a long moment. He swirled the ice in his glass. "There are no bars here," he said, his voice dropping an octave. "You have the access code, 12985. You can leave whenever you want. But if you step out that door, you step back into the world where he can reach you." He set the glass down with a clink. "Are you hungry?" The abrupt change of subject gave Emma whiplash. I missed the appetizers." "Good. The canapes were stale anyway." Liam walked past her, loosening his tie. I'm making an omelet. Do you want one? Emma's jaw dropped slightly. You cook? I eat, Liam replied, walking into a kitchen that looked like it belonged on a cooking show set, all stainless steel and black granite. And I don't like strangers in my house after 10 p.m., so the chef is gone. Emma followed him, hovering in the doorway. Watching Liam Blackwood, the Wolf of Wall Street, crack eggs into a bowl with one hand was surreal. He moved with the same precision he used to sign contracts. Efficient. No wasted motion. There is cheese in the drawer to your left, he said without looking. Gruyere. Grate it. Emma moved automatically. She found the cheese, the grater, and started working. For a few minutes, the only sounds were the whisk beating against the bowl and the rasp of cheese against metal. It was domestic, strangely awkwardly domestic. So, Emma said, needing to fill the silence. Where do I sleep? East wing, Liam pointed with the whisk. Second door on the left. It has an ensuite bathroom and a lock on the inside. I sleep in the west wing. We have approximately 4,000 square feet between us. Your virtue is safe. Emma flushed. I wasn't worried about my virtue. You should be, Liam muttered, almost to himself. He poured the eggs into the hot pan. Sizzle. You're a single woman living with a man the tabloids call the bachelor of the century. People will assume things. Let them assume, Emma said, surprised by her own boldness. She sprinkled the cheese into the pan. As long as Brad stays away, I don't care what they say. Liam looked at her then, really looked at her. He saw the fatigue under her eyes, the tension in her shoulders, but also the steel in her spine. He plated the omelet and slid it across the marble island toward her. He handed her a fork. Eat, he commanded gently. Tomorrow is going to be a war zone. I need you strong. Emma took a bite. It was perfect. Fluffy, rich, hot. It tasted like comfort. Tears pricked her. Eyes again. Sudden and overwhelming. She had spent 6 months eating instant noodles and fearing for her safety. Now she was eating a gourmet omelet in a penthouse, protected by a man who terrified and fascinated her in equal measure. Thank you, she whispered. Don't thank me yet, Liam said, leaning against the counter, watching her eat. Tomorrow we have to sell the lie to the most skeptical audience in the world. The press? Emma asked. No, Liam shook his head darkly. My mother. She's coming for brunch at 10 a.m. Emma choked on her omelet. Your mother? Eleanor Blackwood? The woman who made a senator cry on live television? The very same, Liam smirked. It was a dry, humorless twist of lips. She thinks you're a gold digger. She thinks I'm having a mental breakdown. And she's going to spend 2 hours trying to tear you apart psychologically to prove she's right. He walked over to her. He reached out and, with a touch so light it burned, brushed a stray lock of hair behind her ear. Get some sleep, Emma, he whispered. You're going to need your armor in the morning. He turned and walked away into the shadows of the massive apartment, leaving her alone with her half-eaten omelet and the terrifying realization that Brad might have been the monster, but Liam's world was filled with sharks, and she had just jumped into the tank. Penthouse. Guest wing. Morning. Sunlight didn't just enter Liam's penthouse. It invaded. Emma woke up shielding her eyes against a blinding glare. For a confused second she panicked, thrashing in sheets that felt like spun silk. Where was she? Why was the bed the size of an island? Then, the memories of the night before crashed down on her. The gala, the scream, the car, the omelet, the contract. She sat up, her heart doing a nervous flip. She was in the lion's den, or rather, the wolf's lair. She swung her legs out of bed. Her toes sank into a plush white rug. At the foot of the bed stood a rolling clothing rack that hadn't been there the night before. Hanging on it were not just clothes but weapons. Silk blouses in ivory and navy, tailored trousers that looked sharp enough to cut glass, cashmere sweaters that cost more than her car, and at the very front, a simple, elegant cream-colored knit dress with a note pinned to the hanger. The note was written in sharp, angular handwriting. Wear this. Mother hates pastels. Combat boots are in the box below. L. Emma touched the fabric. It was soft, warm, and expensive. It was armor. She looked at the reflection in the full-length mirror. The girl in the oversized t-shirt looked scared. She took a deep breath. Okay, Emma, she whispered to herself. You survived Brad. You can survive a brunch. Penthouse. Living room. 30 minutes later, when Emma walked into the living room, The transformation was complete. The cream dress hugged her curves modestly, but perfectly. Her hair was pulled back in a loose, elegant bun. She wore the combat boots Liam had suggested, a strange, edgy choice that somehow made her feel grounded tough. Liam was standing by the window reading a tablet. He wore a casual gray sweater and dark jeans. It was the most relaxed she had ever seen him, yet the tension radiating off him was palpable. He turned when he heard her boots on the marble. His eyes swept over her, starting at the boots and moving up to her face. He didn't smile, but his eyebrows lifted a fraction of an inch. "Adequate," he said. "High praise," Emma replied dryly, smoothing her dress. "You look terrified." "I am not terrified," Liam corrected, turning back to the window. "I am strategically anxious. My mother is a nuclear weapon in Chanel. If she senses weakness, she detonates." Ding. The elevator chime was soft, but it sounded like a gong in the silent apartment. Liam straightened his spine instantly. The CEO mask slammed back into place. He walked over to Emma and stood next to her. Close. Too close. He took her hand. His palm was warm, but his grip was tight. "Remember," he whispered, leaning down so his breath tickled her ear. "You are not my assistant today. You are the woman who captured my heart. You are confident. You are worthy. And you adore me." "I adore you," Emma repeated, her voice shaking slightly. "Got it." The elevator doors slid open. Eleanor Blackwood stepped out. She was a striking woman in her 60s, with silver hair cut in a sharp bob and eyes that were the exact same icy blue as Liam's. She wore a, tailored black suit and carried a cane she clearly didn't need, using it more as a scepter than a support. She didn't say hello. She stopped, looked around the penthouse with a critical sniff, and then fixed her laser gaze on Liam. "William," she said. Her voice was like dry ice. "You've changed the feng shui. It's terrible. You're blocking the wealth corner." "Good morning, Mother," Liam said, his voice steady. "You look lovely. Don't lie to me, I look tired. My flight from Zurich was a nightmare." She finally turned her gaze to Emma. It was a physical weight. Emma felt like she was being scanned by an airport X-ray. Eleanor looked at the boots, then the dress, then the face. "So," Eleanor said, walking forward slowly, "this is the scandal. This is Emma," Liam said, his grip on Emma's hand tightening painfully. "My girlfriend." "Girlfriend." Eleanor tested the word as if it tasted sour. She stopped 2 feet from Emma. A curiously middle-class term for a woman causing such high-class problems. Emma felt the old instinct to shrink, to apologize, to fetch coffee, but then she felt Liam's thumb brush the back of her hand. A silent signal. "Stand your ground." Emma lifted her chin. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Blackwood," she said, projecting her voice to the back of the room. "Liam talks about you often." "Does he?" Eleanor raised an eyebrow. "I doubt that. He rarely talks about anything but profit margins." "Shall we sit?" Liam interrupted, steering them toward the dining table where a spread of pastries and fruit had been laid out by the invisible chef. Dining area. Continuous brunch was a battlefield. Eleanor didn't eat. She dissected. "So, Emma," Eleanor said, picking up a strawberry with a silver fork. "My son tells me you work for him." "An assistant?" "Executive assistant," Emma corrected politely. "And how does one go from fetching dry cleaning to sharing a penthouse?" Eleanor asked, her tone conversational, but her eyes deadly. "Did you trip and fall into his bed? Or was it a more calculated ascent?" Liam slammed his coffee cup down. "Mother, it's a fair question, William." Eleanor didn't blink. "You are a target. She has debt. I checked her background. $140,000. That's a powerful motivator for affection." Emma felt the blood drain from her face. Eleanor knew. Of course she knew. "I didn't trip," Emma said quietly. Eleanor looked at her. "Excuse me?" Emma put her fork down. The fear was still there, but anger was starting to override it. How dare this woman judge her? She didn't know about Brad. She didn't know about the nights Emma spent crying over spreadsheets to make sure Liam's schedule was perfect. "I didn't trip," Emma repeated, louder this time. She looked Eleanor in the eye. "And I didn't calculate. I work harder than anyone in that building, Mrs. Blackwood. I know Liam's schedule down to the minute. I know he takes his coffee black because he thinks milk makes him sluggish. I know he hates the merger with Sterling not because of the money but because he doesn't trust their ethics." She glanced at Liam, who was staring at her with genuine surprise. "I fell in love with him," Emma lied, her voice gaining strength, channeling every romance novel she had ever read. Because underneath that suit and that ego, he is the only person who has ever looked at me and seen me. Not a debtor, not a victim, just Emma. She reached out and covered Liam's hand on the table. And, for the record, Mrs. Blackwood, I intend to pay off my own debt. Every cent. I don't want his money. I want him. Silence stretched across the table. The air conditioner hummed. Liam looked at Emma. There was no acting in his eyes at that moment. Just pure, unadulterated awe. Eleanor stared at Emma. She looked at the hand covering her son's. She looked at the combat boots under the table. For the first time, the mask cracked. A tiny, almost imperceptible smile tugged at the corner of her mouth. Well, Eleanor said, picking up her tea. At least she has a spine. Your last one was a decorative pillow, William. Liam let out a breath. Does that mean you approve? I didn't say that, Eleanor snapped. I said she has a spine. Whether she has the stamina to survive us, and that remains to be seen. She looked at Emma again, her gaze softer, but still sharp. The Sterling family is going to come for you, my dear. Brad is petty. His father is ruthless. They will dig up every mistake you've ever made. Are you ready for that? Emma squeezed Liam's hand. She felt the strength of the contract between them. I survived you, Mrs. Blackwood, Emma said with a small, brave smile. I think I can handle Brad. Eleanor threw her head back and laughed. A genuine, barking laugh. Touché, girl, touché. She stood up, grabbing her cane. I'm leaving. This fruit is mediocre. Fix the feng shui, William. And Emma. She paused at the elevator. Wear red next time. Cream makes you look washed out. The doors closed. In T. Penthouse. Continuous. As soon as the elevator descended, Emma slumped forward, resting her forehead on the cool marble table. I think I'm going to throw up. Liam didn't move. He was still staring at her hand, which was now resting on the table. He slowly reached out and covered it with his own. You were, Liam started, searching for the word. Magnificent. Emma lifted her head. She was pale, shaking, but smiling. Did I sell it? The I adore you part? You sold it, Liam murmured. His thumb traced the line of her knuckles. For a second, even I believed it. The atmosphere shifted. The adrenaline of the fight was fading, leaving behind something intimate and dangerous. They were alone again. The line between fake and real had just been blurred by Emma's defense. So, Emma whispered, pulling her hand away gently, breaking the moment before it became too terrifying. We survived the mother. What's next? Liam cleared his throat, standing up. Abruptly, the CEO returned, but his armor was thinner now. Next, he said, walking to the window to look out at the city, he ruled. Next, we go on a date. A public one. Because if my mother believes it, the world will too. But we need proof. He turned back to her. Pack your bag, Emma. We're going to the Hamptons for the weekend. XT. The Hamptons. Blackwood Estate, afternoon. The Blackwood Estate in East Hampton wasn't a house. It was a fortress of cedar and glass perched on the edge of the Atlantic. The black SUV crunched over the gravel driveway. The ocean roared in the distance, a sound that usually calmed Emma, but today sounded like a warning. Liam killed the engine. The silence returned, heavy and thick with the tension that had been building since the brunch with his mother. Remember, Liam said, not looking at her, his hand still gripping the steering wheel. Mrs. Higgins, the housekeeper, has been with the family since I was a boy. She is a gossip. If she suspects this is a sham, the entire staff will know by dinner. And if the staff knows, the tabloids know. Got it, Emma said, unbuckling her seatbelt. Hold hands. Laugh at your jokes. Look at you like you hung the moon. Liam turned to her. His eyes were dark. You don't have to laugh if the joke isn't funny. Just look at me. He got out and opened her door. He took her hand, interlacing their fingers naturally now. It was terrifying how easy it was becoming. Int. Foyer. Continuous. The front door swung. Open. A plump elderly woman with a face like a dried apple and eyes that missed nothing stood there. Mr. Liam, Mrs. Higgins beamed, wiping her hands on her apron. And this must be the famous Emma. The news has been on a loop all morning. Hello, Mrs. Higgins, Liam said, leaning down to kiss her cheek. A shocking display of affection from the ice wolf. Yes, this is Emma. Emma smiled, stepping into the role. It's so lovely to meet you, Mrs. Higgins. Liam has told me, well, he hasn't told me much, actually. He likes to keep his secrets. She squeezed Liam's hand playfully. Liam looked down at her, a flicker of genuine amusement in his eyes. I prepared the blue room for you, Mr. Liam, Mrs. Higgins chattered, taking their coats. But since you brought a guest, she paused, looking between them with a knowing glint in her eye. I assumed you would be wanting the master suite. It has the best view of the sunset, and the jacuzzi tub. Emma froze. The master suite, 1 room, 1 bed. She looked at Liam, waiting for him to correct the housekeeper, to invent a story about his snoring or her insomnia. Liam didn't blink. The master suite is perfect, Mrs. Higgins. Thank you. He placed a hand on the small of Emma's back, guiding her forward. We'll be down for dinner at 7. We need to freshen up. Into your master suite. Moments later, the door clicked shut. Emma spun around. The master suite? Liam, there is 1 bed. It's a California king, sure, but it's still 1 bed. Liam walked past her, throwing his weekend bag onto a chaise lounge. He walked to the massive glass doors that opened onto a private balcony overlooking the ocean. Mrs. Higgins checks the sheets, Emma, he said, loosening his collar. If we sleep in separate rooms, she will know. If we sleep in the same bed and don't touch, and she might still know. So what? We build a pillow fort? Emma asked, pacing the room. This wasn't in the contract. Fake dating usually implies separate sleeping. Quarters. Liam turned. The sunset was framing him in fire and gold. He looked devastatingly handsome and completely exhausted. I can sleep on the sofa, he offered stiffly. Don't be ridiculous, Emma sighed, kicking off her boots. You're 6'3". You'll wake up crippled. We're adults. We can share a mattress without it turning into a scandal. She walked over to the balcony, standing next to him but not touching. The salt air whipped her hair across her face. Why do you come here? She asked softly. It's beautiful, but it's lonely. I come here to remember who I am when I'm not a CEO, Liam said, staring at the horizon. My father built this house. He used to say that the ocean is the only thing in the world that doesn't care how much money you have, it will drown you just the same. Cheery, Emma murmured. He died here, Liam continued, his voice void of emotion. Heart attack, right on that deck. I was 22. I had to take over the company the next morning. I didn't have time to grieve. I just became him. Emma looked at his profile, the sharp jawline, the tension always held in his shoulders. She realized then that the ice wolf wasn't a personality. It was a survival mechanism. Without thinking, she reached out and covered his hand on the railing. You're not him, Liam. You saved me last night. You defended me against your mother this morning. Your father, from what I read, he wouldn't have done that. Liam looked down at her hand, then up, at her eyes. The wind blew a strand of hair into her mouth. He reached out and tucked it behind her ear. His fingers lingered on her jawline. The skin-to-skin contact sent a jolt of electricity through both of them that was impossible to ignore. You don't know me, Emma, he whispered. I'm not a hero. I'm using you to secure a merger, and I'm using you to pay my debts. Emma whispered back, not moving away. We're both using each other. That's the deal. Is it? Liam asked. His thumb brushed her lower lip. The air between them crackled. He was going to kiss her. She wanted him to kiss her. It wasn't for the press. It wasn't for Mrs. Higgins. It was for them. Buzz. Liam's phone vibrated in his pocket, shattering the moment like glass. He pulled away abruptly, cursing under his breath. He looked at the screen. His face hardened. It's the security team, he said, his voice dropping back to business. Bradford Sterling just checked into the Hamptons Inn, 5 miles down the road. Emma felt the cold rush back in. The bubble had burst. He followed us? He's obsessed, Liam said, pocketing the phone. And he's drunk. Security says he's making a scene at the local bar, telling anyone who will listen that you're a hired escort. Emma hugged herself, the warmth of the moment replaced by shame. I should leave. I'm dragging your reputation through the mud. No, Liam said firmly. He grabbed her shoulders, turning her to face him. You are not leaving. We are going to dinner. We are going to be seen. And if Brad shows his face, I am going to finish what I started at the plaza. Liam, you can't fight him, Emma pleaded. The merger. Screw the merger, Liam growled. He called you a whore. Nobody insults you. He stepped back, running a hand through his hair. Get dressed, Emma. Put on the red dress my mother suggested. We are going to war. EXT, the Hamptons. Beach restaurant, night. The surf club was the place to be seen in the Hamptons. It was all white linen, candlelight, and billionaires in flip-flops. Liam and Emma walked in. The hush was instantaneous. Emma wore the red dress. It was backless, structured, and dangerous. She felt like a siren. Liam wore a black button-down, sleeves rolled up, looking like a dark prince. They sat at the center table. Liam ordered champagne. He held her hand on the table. He laughed at her jokes. He played the part perfectly, but his eyes were constantly scanning the room. "Relax," Emma whispered, squeezing his fingers. "He's not here. He will be," Liam muttered. "He's a moth to a flame." And then, he was there. Brad stumbled onto the patio deck. He was disheveled, sweaty, and clearly intoxicated. He spotted them immediately. "Well, well," Brad shouted, spreading his arms. The music stopped. "The happy couple." He staggered toward their table. A waiter tried to stop him, but Brad shoved him aside. "Look at you, Emma," Brad sneered, swaying above their table. "Wearing the dress he bought you? Does he make you leave the money on the dresser or does he direct deposit it?" Emma stood up. Her legs were shaking, but her voice was steady. "Go home, Brad. You're embarrassing yourself." "I'm embarrassing myself?" Brad laughed, a wet, ugly sound. "You're the one pretending to date a man who doesn't even know your middle name just to pay off your student loans." The restaurant gasped. It was too close to the truth. Liam stood up slowly. He didn't shout this time. He was, deadly calm. "Her middle name is Jane," Liam said softly. "She is allergic to strawberries. She dreams of opening a bakery, not being an assistant. And she is worth 10 of you." Emma looked at Liam in shock. How did he know about the bakery? She had never told anyone that. She only had a file on her laptop. He had read everything. Brad sneered. "A bakery? Cute. And tell me, Blackwood, how much did you pay for her services tonight?" Liam moved faster than Emma could track. He grabbed Brad by the lapels of his expensive jacket and slammed him against a wooden pillar. The sound of the impact echoed. "Liam, no," Emma screamed. "One more word," Liam hissed into Brad's face, his eyes burning with cold fire. "One more word about her, and I will buy every asset your family owns and burn it to the ground. I will leave you with nothing but the suit on your back." Brad stared into Liam's eyes and saw his own destruction. He slumped. Liam released him. He brushed off his hands as if he had touched garbage. He turned to Emma, extending his hand. "Shall we go?" he asked, his voice calm again. "I believe I promised you a walk on the beach." Emma took his hand. She looked at Brad, defeated and small. She looked at the crowd, watching in awe. Then she looked at Liam. And in that moment she realized the terrifying truth. The contract was fake. The protection was business. But the way her heart was hammering against her ribs, that was real. And she was in big trouble. Int. Blackwood SUV. Night. The drive back to the estate was silent. But it wasn't the empty silence of before. It was a charged, electric silence. The air in the car felt thick, heavy with unsaid words, and the lingering adrenaline of violence. Liam drove with one hand on the wheel, his knuckles white. He was driving faster than usual, the headlights cutting through the Hamptons fog like knives. Emma stared at his profile. The streetlights flickered over his face. Shadow, light, shadow, light. He looked like a statue coming to life, terrified of its own heartbeat. "You knew about the bakery," Emma whispered. It wasn't a question. Liam didn't look at her. He shifted gears aggressively. "I told you, Emma. I know everything about the people I employ." "No." Emma shook her head, turning in her seat to face him fully. "You know social security numbers. You know addresses. You know bank routing numbers. Sweet peas and flour. The name of the bakery I want to open. That's not in my personnel file. That's in a private folder on my laptop called Someday, a folder I haven't opened in 6 months." Liam tightened his jaw. He didn't answer until he pulled the car into the driveway of the estate, the gravel crunching loudly under the tires. He killed the engine. The silence rushed back in, deafening. "I saw it," Liam said finally, his voice rough. 3 months ago, you left your laptop open in the break room when you went to get coffee. I walked past. I saw the business plan, the logo, the sketches of the interior." He turned to her. The interior light of the car turned his eyes into pools of dark water. It was detailed, passionate. It was the only thing on that computer that looked like it had a soul. Emma felt her breath hitch. "You remembered it? After 3 months?" I have an eidetic memory for business plans, Liam dismissed, reaching for the door handle. It's a curse. Liar, Emma said softly. Liam froze. He looked back at her. Careful, Ms. Rose. You are speaking to your boss. I'm speaking to my fake boyfriend, Emma countered, her heart pounding against her ribs. The man who just threatened to burn down a rival company because someone insulted my dream. Liam stared at her. The mask was slipping. The ice wolf was melting, revealing the man beneath, a man who was lonely, intense, and terrified of feeling anything. Let's go inside, he muttered. It's freezing. XT. Blackwood Estate. Deck. Continuous. They didn't go inside. They walked up the steps to the expansive wooden deck overlooking the ocean. The moon was full, casting a silver path across the black water. The waves crashed against the shore with a rhythmic, hypnotic violence. Liam walked to the railing, gripping it with both hands, staring out at the darkness. The wind whipped his dark hair across his forehead. He looked like a man standing on the edge of the world. Emma followed him. She shivered in her backless dress. Without a word, Liam took off his suit jacket and draped it over her shoulders. The silk lining was warm from his body. It smelled of expensive cologne, sea salt, and him. Why did you really do it, Liam? Emma asked, pulling the jacket tighter around herself. Tonight, with Brad, you didn't have to go that far. You could have just laughed it off. I don't laugh, Liam said, his back to her. You could have ignored him. I couldn't. Liam turned around. The moonlight illuminated the sharp angles of his face. I tried. I told myself it was just a strategy. Secure the asset. Protect the investment. But when he touched you, he took a step toward her. Then another. He stopped inches away. The space between them crackled with static electricity. When he looked at you like you were something he owned, Liam whispered, his voice dropping to a gravelly timbre. I wanted to destroy him. I didn't care about the merger. I didn't care about the board. I just wanted to make sure he never looked at you like that again. Emma looked up at him. Her eyes were wide, reflecting the moon. That doesn't sound like a business strategy, Liam. No, Liam admitted, his gaze dropping to her lips. It sounds like a liability. He reached out. His hand trembled slightly as he cupped her face. His thumb brushed her cheekbone, tracing the line of her jaw. His skin was rough, warm, electric. This is dangerous, Emma, he murmured. We are playing a game with no rules. Then let's break the rules, Emma whispered. Liam didn't need to be told twice. He lowered his head and captured her lips. It wasn't a tentative first kiss. It was a collision. It was hunger and desperation, and months of pent-up silence finally finding a voice. Liam kissed her like he was drowning and she was oxygen. His hands tangled in her hair, pulling her closer, destroying the space between them. Emma wrapped her arms around his neck, standing on her tiptoes. The jacket slipped off her shoulders, forgotten on the deck. She didn't feel the cold. She felt fire. The kiss deepened, becoming possessive, demanding. It was a claim. It was an admission. You are mine. I see you. I want you. They broke apart, gasping for air, foreheads resting against each other. Liam's eyes were blown wide, dark with desire. Emma, he breathed, his voice wrecked. Liam, she replied, breathless. If we go inside, Liam warned, his voice leaving no room for misunderstanding. I can't promise I'll be a gentleman. I can't promise this stays fake. Emma looked at him. She saw the fear in his eyes, fear of losing control, fear of wanting. She reached up and kissed him again, softly this time. I don't want a gentleman, she whispered against his lips. And I'm tired of fake. Liam groaned, a low sound in his throat. He swept her up into his arms, bridal style, as effortlessly as if she weighed nothing. He carried her toward the glass doors. Int, master suite, morning, sunlight, unforgiving, bright, revealing sunlight. Emma woke up slowly. She was warm, heavy. She opened one eye. She was tangled in the high thread count sheets of the California king bed, but she wasn't alone. Liam was asleep next to her. He was on his stomach, one arm thrown over his head, the other resting heavily across her waist. His face was softened by sleep, the worry lines smoothed out. He looked younger, human. Emma lay there, holding her breath. Memories of the night before flooded back. The deck, the kiss, the way he had carried her inside. They hadn't gone all the way. Not quite. They had stopped at the precipice. heavy with exhaustion and overwhelmed by the intensity of it all. They had fallen asleep holding each other, fully clothed at first, then stripping down to basics as the heat rose. It was intimate, more intimate, perhaps, than sex. It was trust. Emma reached out to touch his hair. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Liam's phone, on the nightstand, began to vibrate violently. Liam groaned, burying his face in the pillow. Ignore it. It could be important, Emma whispered, pulling the sheet up to her chin. It's 7 a.m. on a Sunday. Liam sighed, rolling over. He reached for the phone blindly. He squinted at the screen. His eyes snapped open. The softness vanished instantly. The ice wolf returned. He sat up, the sheet falling to his waist. His back muscles tensed. Blackwood, he answered, his voice gravelly with sleep but sharp with command. Emma watched him. She saw his expression shift from annoyance to confusion and then to cold fury. What do you mean, leaked? Liam snapped. That's confidential financial data. If Sterling has it, yes. Yes, I understand the implications. He listened for a moment longer. Fix it. Kill the story. I don't care how much it costs. Buy the server if you have to. He hung up. He didn't look at Emma. He stared at the wall, his hand gripping the phone so tight it might crack. Liam? Emma asked, sitting up. The cold air hit her bare shoulders. What is it? Liam stood up. He walked to the window, naked from the waist up. He didn't look at the ocean this time. He looked like he wanted to fight it. Brad didn't just go home to sleep it off, Liam said, his voice flat. He went to the press. What did he say? Emma asked, panic rising in her chest. Did he tell them it's fake? No. Liam turned. His face was a mask of stone. He leaked your student loan records, and a copy of a bank transfer from my personal account paying off the exact amount. Emma gasped, covering her mouth. But you haven't paid them off yet. We haven't signed the paperwork. I did it this morning, Liam said. Automatically. At 4 a.m. I set it up when we agreed to the contract. So? Liam walked over to the bed. He looked down at her. The tenderness from the night before was gone, locked away behind a fortress of necessity. The narrative isn't Cinderella anymore, Emma. It's prostitution. The headline running on page 6 right now is, The Billionaire's Bought Bride. Did Liam Blackwood pay for affection? Emma felt sick. They think you hired me. They think I bought you, Liam corrected. And in the eyes of the board, that makes me reckless. And it makes you... He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. He grabbed his shirt from the floor. Get dressed, Liam said, his voice cold, efficient. We are leaving. The helicopter is coming in 20 minutes. We need to be in the city before the market opens tomorrow. Liam, Emma reached for his hand. We can fix this. We can explain. Liam pulled his hand away. There is nothing to explain. The contract is compromised. You are a liability again. He walked to the door. He paused, his hand on the knob. He didn't look back. Pack your things, Ms. Rose. The vacation is over. The door slammed. Emma was left alone in the massive bed, the smell of him still on her skin, the echo of his kiss still on her lips, and the crushing weight of reality crashing down on her heart. The dream was over. The nightmare had just begun. Blackwood Enterprises. Monday morning. The office was colder than the Hamptons. Emma walked to her desk, her head held high, ignoring the whispers. Did you see the article? Is it true he paid her off? Gold digger. She sat down. Her hands were trembling. She opened her email. Subject: termination of contract. It was from legal. Attached: non-disclosure agreement. Severance package. Tears burned her eyes, but she blinked them back. She looked at the glass wall of Liam's office. The blinds were drawn. She stood up. She wasn't going to let him do this via email. She marched to the door. Sarah, who had miraculously recovered from food poisoning, tried to stop her. Ms. Rose, you can't go in there. He's in a meeting with the crisis team. I don't care, Emma said, pushing past her. She slammed the door open. Liam was standing at the window back to the room. 3 lawyers in gray suits were sitting on the sofa, looking terrified. Out, Liam said without turning. Everyone. The lawyers scrambled, grateful for the escape. The door clicked shut. Silence. You fired me by email? Emma asked, her voice shaking with hurt and anger. After everything? After Saturday? Liam turned slowly. He looked exhausted, dark circles under his eyes. Saturday was a mistake. A lapse in judgment. A lapse? Emma stepped forward. You kissed me like you were drowning, Liam. You told me you wanted to protect me. Was that a lie? It doesn't matter, Liam said coldly, walking to his desk. The narrative has shifted. You are no longer an asset, Emma. You are a liability. The board is calling for my resignation because they think I'm misusing company funds to pay for companionship. But it was your personal money. It doesn't matter. Liam slammed his hand on the desk. Perception is reality in this business, and right now the perception is that I am compromised. He looked at her. His eyes were dead. Sign the NDA. Take the severance. It's enough to open your bakery. Go live your dream, Emma. Far away from here. Emma stared at him. She saw the pain behind the ice. He was pushing her away to save her, to give her the bakery, to give her a life free of scandal. But he was also breaking her heart. You coward, she whispered. Liam flinched. You think throwing money at me fixes everything? Emma walked up to the desk. You think you can just pay me to disappear? She reached into her purse. She pulled out a check, the severance check. She ripped it in half, and then in half again. She let the pieces fall onto his desk like confetti. I don't want your money, Liam, she said, her voice steady now. I never did. Keep your bakery. Keep your millions. I'd rather be poor and honest than rich and empty like you. She turned and walked to the door. Emma, Liam's voice cracked. She paused, hand on the handle. Don't, she said without looking back. Just don't. She walked out. Int. Coffee shop. 1 hour later, Emma sat in a booth, staring at a cold cup of tea. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She ignored it. It buzzed again, and again. She picked it up. Hello? Ms. Rose? A slick voice. This is Charles Sterling, Brad's father. Emma froze. The enemy. What do you want? She asked, gripping the phone. I saw the news, Sterling Sr. purred. Unfortunate. Liam really threw you under the bus, didn't he? Paid you off like a common... Well, if you called to insult me, I'm hanging up. No, Sterling said quickly. I called to offer you a job. Emma frowned. Excuse me? Come to my office, Sterling Corp, right now. I'll pay you double whatever Blackwood gave you. All you have to do is confirm the story. Confirm what story? That he hired you. That it was all a transactional arrangement for sex. That he coerced you. Emma felt sick. You want me to lie. I want you to destroy him, Sterling corrected. He humiliated my son. He ruined your reputation. Help me bury him, Emma, and you'll never have to worry about money again. You can open 10 bakeries. Emma looked out the window. It was raining. She thought about Liam, the way he looked on the deck, the way he defended her, the way he tried to give her the bakery even as he broke her heart. He was an idiot. He was stubborn. He was emotionally stunted. But he wasn't a monster. Sterling was. A plan formed in Emma's mind. It was reckless. It was dangerous. It was exactly the kind of thing Liam would tell her not to do. Mr. Sterling, Emma said, her voice hardening. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Int. Sterling Corp. Boardroom. 30 minutes later. Sterling Corp. was old money. Mahogany, leather, cigar smoke. Bradford Sterling Sr. sat at the head of the table. Brad sat next to him looking smug. A camera crew was setting up in the corner. Excellent, Sterling Sr. said as Emma walked in. You're prompt, I like that. Let's get this over with, Emma said, clutching her purse. Smart girl. Sterling slid a contract across the table. Sign this. It states that Liam Blackwood used company funds for illicit purposes and that you were a victim of his predatory behavior. Brad smirked. Told you she'd come crawling back, Dad. She needs the money. Emma looked at the contract. She looked at the camera. The red light was blinking. Recording. Is this live? Emma asked. Streaming to our internal network and key press contacts. Sterling said. Go ahead. Tell them the truth. Emma stood up. She walked to the camera. She looked directly into the lens. My name is Emma Rose, she began, her voice clear and strong. And I was the executive assistant to Liam Blackwood. Sterling nodded encouragingly. I am here to confirm, Emma continued, that Liam Blackwood did pay off my student loans. Yes, good, Sterling whispered. He did it, Emma said, tears welling in her eyes, because he found out I was being financially abused by his rival's son. The room went dead silent. Brad's smirk vanished. Brad Sterling, Emma pointed at him without looking away from the camera, spent 2 years controlling my finances, isolating me from my friends and threatening me. When I finally left him, he stalked me. He harassed me at the Plaza Hotel. Sterling Sr. stood up. Cut the feed. Cut it now. Liam Blackwood didn't hire me for sex, Emma shouted over the chaos. He protected me. He paid my debts so Brad couldn't use them against me. He offered me a fake relationship to shield me from you. The cameraman kept filming. He was mesmerized. Liam Blackwood is the most honorable man I've ever met, Emma said, her voice breaking. And I fell in love with him, not because of his money, but because he saved me when no one else would. She looked straight into the lens. And if losing his company means losing his integrity, then he doesn't want it, and neither do I. Get her out, Sterling screamed. Security! 2 guards grabbed Emma. She didn't fight. She had said her piece. As they dragged her out, she saw Brad's face. He was pale, terrified. He knew. Everyone knew now. The feed had gone out. The truth was out. Blackwood Enterprises. Liam's office. Continuous. Liam was staring at his laptop. The live feed from Sterling Corp was playing on his screen. He watched Emma being dragged out. He heard her words. He is the most honorable man I have ever met. I fell in love with him. He sat there frozen. His heart, which he thought had turned to stone years ago, cracked open. It shattered, and light poured in. He stood up. He didn't grab his jacket. He didn't grab his phone. He grabbed his keys. He ran past Sarah, past the lawyers, past the elevator. He took the stairs. 40 flights. He had to get to her. Before Sterling did. Before it was too late. EXT. Sterling Corp. Plaza. Day. The rain in New York City doesn't wash things clean, it just makes everything grayer. Emma stood on the sidewalk outside the towering steel monolith of Sterling Corp. She was shivering. She didn't have an umbrella. Her coat was soaked through in seconds. She hugged her purse to her chest. She had done it. She had burned her bridges, nuked her reputation, and likely made herself unemployable in this city forever. But she had cleared Liam's name. Security guards blocked the revolving doors behind her. She was exiled. Again. Well, Emma whispered to the rain. At least the truth is out. She turned to walk toward the subway station. She would go home, pack her things, and move. Somewhere. Maybe Ohio. Ohio had bakeries. Screech. A car. Didn't just stop at the curb. It drifted. A sleek black sports car hopped the curb, narrowly missing a fire hydrant. The door flew open before the engine even cut out. Liam Blackwood stepped out. He wasn't wearing a coat. He wasn't wearing a tie. His white dress shirt was unbuttoned at the collar, clinging to his chest with rain. His hair was wild. He looked like a man who had run through fire. Liam, Emma gasped, stepping back. He didn't speak. He marched toward her, oblivious to the rain, oblivious to the people staring. He stopped inches from her. He was breathing hard, his chest heaving. You, he gasped, pointing a finger at her. You reckless, stubborn, impossible woman. Emma started, but the words died in her throat. You went into the viper's nest, Liam shouted, his voice cracking. Alone. Do you have any idea what they could have done to you? They could have sued you. They were destroying you, Emma shouted back, finding her fire. They were using my debt to paint you as a monster. I had to fix it. I didn't ask you to fix it, Liam roared. I asked you to be safe. I don't want to be safe if it means you lose everything. They stared at each other, chest to chest, soaked to the bone, breathing the same air. The anger evaporated, replaced by something raw and terrifying. Liam reached out and grabbed her face with both hands. I don't care about the company, Emma, he whispered, his thumbs stroking the rain from her cheeks. Let them take it. Let Sterling have the merger. Let the board fire me. I don't care. You don't? No, Liam shook his head. Because I watched you on that screen. I watched you defend me when I had just fired you. I watched you tell the world you loved me. He leaned his forehead against hers. Did you mean it? He asked, his voice barely audible over the rain. Or was that just part of the plan? Emma closed her eyes. She felt his heartbeat against her own. I meant it. Every word. I love you, Liam. Even when you're an arrogant jerk who fires me by email. Liam let out a laugh, a sound of pure relief. I rehired you, he murmured against her lips. Effective immediately, but the job description has changed. Oh? Emma smiled weakly. What's the new role? Partner, Liam said. Equal, and, if you'll have me, husband. Emma's eyes flew open. Husband? I don't want a contract anymore, Emma, Liam said fiercely. I want a life. I want to wake up next to you every day and argue about coffee. I want to watch you open that bakery. I want everything real, messy, permanent. He kissed her. It wasn't like the kiss in the Hamptons. That was passion. This was a promise. It was deep, slow, and sealed with the rain. Cars honked. People cheered. A tourist took a photo. They didn't notice. Int, news montage, various screens, Anchor, 1. Shocking revelations from inside Sterling Corp today as a leaked internal stream went viral. Anchor, 2. Bradford Sterling Jr. is under investigation for harassment and financial coercion. Newspaper headline, Sterling stock plummets. Blackwood shares soar on honesty rally. Social media, Team Emma, trending worldwide. Clip, Eleanor Blackwood leaving a courthouse, hitting a reporter with her cane. My son has excellent taste. Now get out of my way. Int Sweet Peas and Flour Bakery. 6 months later, the smell of cinnamon and vanilla was overwhelming. The bakery was small, cozy, and packed. A line wound out the door. Emma stood behind the counter wearing a flour-dusted apron over a simple sundress. She looked tired, messy, and happier than she had ever been in her life. 1 croissant, 2 lattes, she called out. Order for table 4. The bell above the door jingled. Liam walked in. He wasn't wearing a suit. He was wearing dark jeans and a black t-shirt that said Bakery Security in bold white letters. He walked straight to the counter. Excuse me, miss, he said, leaning over the glass display case. I have a complaint. Emma rolled her eyes, smiling. Oh, really? Is the coffee too cold? No, Liam smirked. The owner is too beautiful. It's distracting the customers. Productivity is down 40%. Is that a fact? Emma laughed, wiping her hands on a towel. It is. I ran the numbers. He walked around the counter. He kissed her cheek, then stole a cookie from the cooling rack. How's the merger? Emma asked, slapping his hand away. Boring. Liam chewed the cookie. We acquired Sterling Corp this morning. Brad is currently working in the mailroom of our Antarctica branch. I hear the Penguins are tough supervisors. Emma laughed. You're terrible. I'm efficient. Liam winked. He reached into his pocket. The humor faded from his face, replaced by that intense, soft look that still made Emma's knees weak. Emma, he said quietly. The noise of the bakery seemed to fade. He got down on one knee, right there on the flour-covered floor. The chatter in the shop stopped. Phones came out. Liam, Emma whispered, her hands flying to her mouth. You don't have to. I do, Liam said. He pulled out a small velvet box. Inside was not a massive diamond, but a simple, elegant sapphire ring, the color of his eyes, the color of the ocean where they first kissed. I asked you once to sign a contract for protection, Liam said, looking up at her. Today I'm asking you to sign one for love. No expiration date, no clauses, just us. He took a deep breath. Emma rose. Will you marry me? For real this time? Emma looked at the man who had been her boss, her protector, her fake boyfriend, and now her best friend. She looked at the ring. She looked at the life they had built out of lies and rain. Yes, she whispered, tears streaming down her face. Yes, 1,000,000 times yes. Liam stood up and swept her into his arms. The bakery erupted in applause. Mrs. Higgins was in the corner, sobbing into a napkin. Even Eleanor, sitting at a table with a cup of tea, gave a rare, approving nod. Liam kissed her, lifting her off her feet. You're hired, he whispered against her ear. Permanently. Emma laughed, burying her face in his neck. Best job I ever had. Oh my God. I'm not crying. You're crying. From a fake contract to a bakery proposal. That is the definition of true love. And can we talk about Brad ending up in Antarctica? Talk about cold justice. I want to know what you think. If you were Emma, would you have forgiven Liam for firing you? Or would you have made him work harder for it? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading your theories. Don't forget to like this video if you love happy endings, and subscribe for more amazing stories every week. Thanks for watching. Bye.